Today, my very special guest is Emily Elliott. Emily Elliott is a school teacher who taught third grade for many years and is now a full-time improv teacher for her company, Elevate Improv. She is a woman of many faces, as you will see. Also, kind of nuts. So that's awesome. Hope you enjoy this episode. Let's do it.
And I'm like, I'm so happy to be talking to you.
We get so in our head about how it's not going to go well. Why not spend that same amount of time talking about how great it's going to go? People think it's so cliche.
I know.
But it's not.
It's
not. So not.
It's
Imagine
so not.
if everyone walked around with that mentality of yes and.
The Improv Therapist Podcast.
What's an improv therapist?
Shh.
Looking back, I wish that there was improv classes for me when I was a kid.
When you were a kid.
Because then maybe I would have gone into theater after that. Maybe I would have decided, musical theater. Like, I love musicals. Even I make my life a musical sometimes. I'm like singing while I'm doing whatever. I'm making up a song when I'm giving directions to a child or whatever. So, yeah, that just wasn't a thing.
Well, I find it very interesting. Everybody's like improv journey. If you're an improviser, I used to think I had it down. Like, if you're an improviser, you probably had this type of upbringing. But then I've met so many people that have just related to improv in such a different way that it filled a different need for them that I don't have a theory on it at all. You know?
I would agree there's no theory because the kids, there are some where I can see them and say, this kid needs to be an improv because I think they would have so much fun. I don't do that so much with the more reserved and shy kids, but I will say this kid could use improv.
Right.
But the ones that have been in it, if I didn't know where they came from, how it started for them, how it started, how it's going. Some of them, like there's this one girl, I'll think of her forever. I talked to the mom for a long time when she saw my flyer for after school. I think this would be great for her, but I'm really nervous because she doesn't talk in class. Mm-hmm. At home, she puts on performances and does all these things with her cousins, but when she's in school, she's whispering. Mm-hmm. If speaking at all. And I told the mom my philosophy. I said she can do what she wants to do. I'll stand with her for as long as she needs me to. If she wants to participate, great. She can just be a part of the group without standing up and having to do anything on her own. Mm-hmm. I gave her my word that I wouldn't, force her when she was feeling uncomfortable. But I was going to nudge. Right. And as time went on, and I started hearing the giggle, and then like the laugh, and then she would do it. Even sometimes it was quiet, but she would do it. And the other kids kind of, without me saying anything explicitly to them about her, experience, they kind of knew, and they'd get extra quiet when she would go, and they would just like, you could feel this, like everybody cheering, even if it wasn't like, oh, you did it, It was this like, oh yeah, look at her go. Yeah. And then I'd start to have conversations with her teachers. Wait, she talks in improv? Wait, you've heard her laugh? Wait, and it's just such this, like I could cry thinking about it because there are so many parents that opt out before they get that chance, where they see my flyer and they're like, oh, my kid would never do that. Right. My kid won't even, order at the restaurant. My kid won't look, the doctor in the eye. Whatever it is, they just opt them out. And this mom was willing to take the chance. Like, she was nervous about it. Like, how is this going to go? Is this totally going to have her feeling so nervous and to the point of what? But what's the worst that could happen, right? Right.
No, and I think about this all the time with improv, and I do want to get your perspective on this. It's like, for me, improv, I always say this, improv was like, I walked through a door that I didn't know existed, and then now I can't remember what it was like before I walked through that door. Yeah. And you're nodding your head, and I've said that to a lot of improvisers, and it's always the same response of like, yeah, oh, absolutely. Initiation into improv is scary for a lot of people, right? So then we're on this side of it where we're like, improv's amazing. Hey, look, I'm a tree, you know, like.
And I'm the apple that just fell from the tree.
And it goes, right, and like, I yes and you, and then before you know it, you're like, you know, we're on the Titanic, and there's like a, I don't know, you know what I mean?
Right.
And like, people, rightfully so, because they haven't crossed through that door, and also maybe their, you know, their personality makes them a little more fearful of it. How do we and you know, bring people into the world of improv without it being this like goofy, scary world that turns people off? Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And you may not have a thought on it, but I've thought about this a lot.
I have, because even trying to make it clear to parents that want to sign their children up, where they're thinking like, oh, well, my kid's not funny, or my kid's not, you know, like all those, like I said, they want to opt them out, but they're curious, they're interested. They see, now they're starting to see maybe some of my social media posts, and they're like, wow, those kids look like they're having so much fun, or, oh my goodness, I went to the school production, and so many of those kids do improv.
Mm-hmm.
And side note, so many of those kids, when they started improv, would never have dreamed of being on that stage.
Right.
Like, ones that year after year, no, I'm not auditioning, you know, even when I'm like, just go, just try, just, no, you know, I'm scared, or I wouldn't be good at that, you know, all that. It just helps that bridge that gap to wherever you want to go, whether it's that stage or whatever. But I think getting people to understand that it's not about being funny. It's not about being a performer. It's not about, like, what it's not, where you can almost say, but let me tell you what it is. Do you like community? Do you like people that are going to cheer you on no matter what?
Right.
Like, we met online, you know, oh, wow, I found your page. This is so cool. You use improv in your therapy, this and that. And hey, I like your post. I like your thing. Let's talk. If there isn't this scarcity mindset of like, well, I can't share any of my ideas with you, or I can't talk to you about, you know, anything because for fear of, I don't know, you take my ideas. Great. Let's collaborate. Let's build.
Yeah, it's such a good point, because I was talking to my friend. By the way, we're in the middle of the podcast right now.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
I was talking to my friend. I was talking to my friend who is a very seasoned improviser, and we were talking about the idea of support, right? And how in the improv world, you know, it becomes a given. You start supporting people automatically.
Yeah. And
it's like, sometimes it's funny when you're the most supportive person in the room in a non-improv setting, and people are like, why are you cheering like that? Right?
I love that idea. Tell me more.
Right. You go crazy for something. But, you know, we were talking about how, you know, the improv mindset, well, she was saying this, and I was immediately agreeing with her, because improv, but also because I was agreeing with her.
Right.
But like that, you know, people hold back on support sometimes when they don't lose anything by supporting.
Yeah. And
a perfect example of that is liking somebody's post on social media. Like, and she was saying this to me, I like all of my friends' posts because I want to give them support. Right. And I was like, oh, I do that too. Like, and then we were like, yeah, but not everyone does that. And it's such a weird thing to think about. Like, if you see a friend who puts something out there, right, just help them out by moving your thumb, boop,
yeah,
right, and be like, yeah, I'm supporting you. But it's like, it's not automatic for people, which is wild. It's really wild.
And I know that they don't do the thing because they'll say, I saw that post on whatever, and I'm like, oh, the one that I have 2 likes and not one is you.
Right,
you know?
Right.
Why not?
One of them's me, and
one of them's me on my personal account, and one, it's my husband, and that's that. But yeah, I don't have an answer for that. But maybe they need improv because that would give them permission to. It doesn't take. In fact, it is more of an uplifting experience to support. It feels better than when you just kind of scroll by, like, oh, even if they say that's cool, like, good for them.
Right.
Just adding that, I love this, fire emoji, clapping whatever. First of all, it makes the content creator so excited.
It does. It makes us excited.
So excited.
Do it, please.
When I spend my entire daughter's nap on a reel and you love it, it's like,
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Please, just
help us out. Just please. Just help us out.
takes not even a second. Like, you could, like, time it. Okay, ready, go. You know? But I think that permission to... I tell my students, we make each other look good.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, oh, well, I've been doing improv so long, so I'm so great at improv. Great, you're so good. Now your job is to make all the newbies look really good too.
Yep. I noticed that after doing improv for a little while, that I became a supportive yes and man, and then there was a new challenge, which was I have more experience than other people, so I could lose my yes and if I don't realize where to give, right? If I could be like, I'm the most experienced person here, I'm not going to say that, but in my head I could think that. Sure. It could be this egotistical thought.
Even if you weren't actively thinking that,
right.
Like, thoughts come, like, you do this for a living. Like, people have some thoughts. Like, it happens.
Yeah. And so, like, then there was this new challenge of, like, how do you be supportive when you are more experienced than someone else, when you feel the responsibility to carry the scene, let's say, right? And I thought about that. I thought about it a lot. And it's really interesting because it's like, well, who gave you that responsibility? Nobody.
Yeah.
You self-imposed that because your ego got a little big. And now the new challenge, and this applies to so many areas of life, you get good at something and then you stop, listening and stop trying or whatever. The new challenge is to be able to yes and while being the most experienced person in the room with somebody who's like, gonna mess up the scene.
Yeah, so being there.
Yes.
And thinking about the fact, well, don't think about it. Just be there, listen,
yes.
Wait. They could give some really sparkly gifts in a scene that, sometimes I see that with the new one, and they'll say something and I'm like, freeze, did you hear that?
Right.
Okay, let's rewind. I want you to build on that, because
yes.
I think kids or adults who have been doing it for a long time, even though they know, okay, we say our ABCs of improv and our be in the moment, even though they know that and they're chanting it, they're thinking about what they want to say. And they'll admit it to me. They're like, I was going to say it. I'm like, wait, what? You had something? What?
Right.
What are you talking about? Where when you're really listening and you're looking at them as an equal, like they can bring something, because obviously they're not you, so they can bring something that you've not thought of, and letting go of that I know what they're going to say,
right.
or they should say this. Because I find myself doing that when I'm watching kids in a scene and I'm guiding them through, and someone says something and I'm like, oh, they should say this, like that would be so funny, or that would be so whatever, and I'm like, stop that.
Right.
Stop that right now. But the brain does what the brain does.
The brain does what the brain does, and then we can obviously override it with the next thing the brain does, right? And, one of the things, because you were saying that an inexperienced improviser in a scene could give you so much. I learned this exercise, Kevin Riom. I'm not sure if you know that, but Kevin Riom, he's a Second City guy. Yeah. And he gave this workshop in South Florida last year or the year before or something. And great workshop, and one of the things that I really took away from it was this exercise where the two actors start the scene by walking around aimlessly until he says to freeze, and when they freeze, they stare at each other. Okay, and it's it's uncomfortable to stare at somebody, right? You stare at each other. I don't remember if he broke it or like if he was the one who said now, or if he said one of you have to do it. But the first thing that has to be said is, you seem like you are this emotion based on your affect. Okay. Right? So you walk around, you stare at each other, and you go, you seem really mad. And then the other person has to agree and justify. So then they say, yes, I am really mad because last night I found out that my grandmother is in jail. Right? And then the rest of the scene, grandma, classic grandma. The rest of the scene is organic. Cool. Right? So what that... Right. Okay, we're back in business. Okay. So I was talking about my grandma went to jail.
Poor grandma. She's always into something. Yes. So typical.
So that exercise from Kevin Riom, where you look at the person, you say, you seem angry or you seem sad, that works with anyone, anywhere. Meaning if you're in your head thinking you're the best improviser in the world, but then you miss the emotional cues that are coming up, from your scene partner. So guess what? You're not the best improviser in the world.
And someone was talking to me about AI recently and how, oh, well, AI is going to take over. Teachers going to do this, going to do that. Yeah, there are so many, right? Making fun videos, doing quick, I love to throw in, these are the things in my fridge. Help me make a 1-pot, 30-minute recipe. Bam. I love it. The connection, even teaching that.
Yeah.
Because you could give me quotes about connection. How can I be connected? There could be some steps, like I could maybe glean some great information. Give me some data, some quotes, some, articles from this, that, the other thing. But to actually be able to look at someone in the eyes and be able to say, you seem
right
blank.
Right.
There's no technology that can teach that. Improv can.
Yes.
Being in scenes where you are even just, hey, not even make believe. Let's think about how you're feeling right now and walk around.
Yeah.
Look around. Can you start thinking about how other people, what do you notice on other people,
Right. It's really interesting because there's a lot, I'm curious what you think about this. There's a lot that we do in society that has like a label attached to it, and then it becomes like a task. Like, let's say going to the gym, right? And, you might say to somebody, yeah, I went to the gym today, so I worked out for an hour. But if you, let's say, had to move a bunch of furniture, you wouldn't say I worked out. But your body still did the same.
You did
right?
a serious workout.
Yeah, and this is actually, in a way, this is kind of like why I ended up doing improv in therapy, because it's like, what if we don't call it therapy, but we're doing a therapeutic thing, like walk around the room and see how you feel.
So therapeutic, yeah.
And like, where do you see with kids that they're able to get something in improv that it's really the same as what they can get in another place, but they wouldn't be open to it otherwise? Does that make sense what I'm saying? Like,
yes. And I think there are a lot of things so I might go on, but one thing that came to mind is being resilient, learning how to get somewhere and it doesn't go the way you want it to go, and being able to kind of recuperate or find that gift in that scene was a hot mess, say,
right.
But like, oh wow, that one thing, or even that character I tried on for a little bit, like that was really fun. I want to try that one on again. Even experiencing different emotions that maybe they don't give themselves permission to feel. Maybe they don't get to feel those at home because there's a certain expectation about how you behave and how you respond back, how you show respect, where in improv you can, another one of our rules, be yourself or anyone else, where how would Emily react to that situation normally, or how would Emily, the Emily doesn't let that part of Emily come out, let's try that out. Or how would Emily, as I don't know why you talked about working out, like a really tough bodybuilder, like always comes to mind when I'm showing. It's so funny. They're like, there it is again. There's
right.
that. I'm like, why did that just come out? I just told myself I was going to come up with another character for this example, but it just came. So even that, like, how would I interact as this other character, or if I was, so kids that are super nervous, reserved, what would little Sally, if she was a brave superhero,
right.
What does that feel like?
Right.
Try that on, close your eyes for a minute, breathe that character in, take a step. How does that character walk? How does that character talk? How does that character, what would that character say? And we do it with animals too. Like if you were a dog that was at a pet store, what would you say right now? And what do you think they want to do at first? What do they want to say? How do they want to sound?
Like a dog.
Like a dog.
Yeah, right. Right.
Whoa.
Right.
You can talk.
Right.
What would the dog actually say? Now there's movies that show this. Like,
right.
It's like that movie. You can actually talk. Like, I can understand what you're saying. Why do they have me in this place? They told me I was going to go to this nice, beautiful house, but why am I here? So trying out what another character would say, feel, do. And so how could that translate into helping them in real life? Like empathy,
Yeah, I mean, being able to move emotional states is obviously a major, major part of being successful in life, right? There's different parts of us. Like, people don't tend to think of ourselves as having so many different versions of ourselves, right? But we do have different versions, and we're supposed to have different versions.
Right.
You're supposed to be different when you're talking to your kid, than when you're talking to your husband, than when you're talking to your coworkers. You're supposed to be different, slightly different version of yourself, right? And this was something that was kind of unintended, or whatever, that I didn't realize was going to come out of improv for me, is that I can kind of like use my imagination, like you're saying, like use my imagination to create a character that's different than the way I feel right now, to really like find that part of myself to use it.
Yeah.
Meaning this really, so I've been doing stand-up for like 2 years now, a little less than 2 years, and the first time I did stand-up, I wanted to vomit the entire day.
Thinking of doing that makes me want to vomit.
Right. Thinking of someone else doing it makes you want to vomit, right? And this is after doing tons of improv.
Yeah.
Improv is just, if you're comfortable with improv, you can get up on a stage and be like,
Yeah.
we're gonna work it out.
Yeah.
Stand up, right? And I did it the first time, and I was thrilled that I did it the first time. And I wanted to really grow and challenge myself. And at a certain point, maybe the third or fourth time, I said to myself, instead of going up there and trying to be a stand-up, I'm going to go up there as an actor who has a role in a play as a stand-up.
Did that make a big difference?
Way better. Because then I was like, well, I can act. Meaning I took something that I feel
I've done this
doing.
before.
Right. I can act, so my role is to be a stand-up comedian.
Right.
And so like moving in, like imagination, using your own imagination to imagine a part of yourself kind of like getting highlighted, that popped out of improv for me. And I've seen it with other people too, where they're kind of like, yeah, well, casually, like, I kind of like thought of myself as this, and then I went ahead and did it. And I'm like, you realize that 2 years ago, like, you used to sit in the corner of a coffee shop and be like, I wish I could talk to somebody.
But I don't talk so
Right.
good. Yeah. No, but that's it. We get so in our head about how it's not going to go well, or how I feel like I'm going to throw up, like, or what if, all of those thoughts, like those stories that we tell about how it's going to crash and burn. Like, why not spend that same amount of time talking about how great it's going to go, or how much fun it's going to be. Even that idea of, that's another one of our rules. Enjoy yourself. Everyone's an expert. You walked in this door to do improv. You are an expert.
Yes.
Because you are a thinking, feeling, breathing, doing thing, and you're doing the thing. Great.
Right.
Like, you're here. We got you. And that shows. So even when we're in our head, say, going to do stand-up, which I'm not there yet, but like, oh gosh, this is really, I'm nervous, I'm this, I'm that. Instead of like, I'm just going to have fun.
Right.
I love talking.
Yes.
I love being in front of people, making people laugh, feeding off of the energy in the room. Like, oh, that sounds like I very well could do it. I could do it.
Yeah. Could do it.
I could do it
You
too.
could do it.
But I think that's it. Like, we go straight to, so even someone who does improv, teaches kids to be confident, does all of that, I still am like, ooh, what's it going to be like? How's it going to go? I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. What are you doing, lady?
Yeah, well, and that was part of the reason why I started doing stand-up, was because I realized there was and I'm sure there are other ones, but there was a pocket of discomfort that I was avoiding. And I knew that if I could go head on into that area, that it would benefit me, even if I never do more with stand-up. Now I'm comfortable. I do stand-up all the time.
Yeah,
which is
you
crazy.
love it.
Yeah. I mean, I love improv.
Up.
Like, let's be clear, improv is my first love.
Improv.
If I go too long without doing improv, I start to lose my mind. If I go too long without doing stand-up, I'll be okay. Yeah. Like, it's different. It's very,
Is it because of the connection, the yes, like, there's no yes and in stand-up? I mean, there is to an extent, but it's not the same. I'm taking and building off of you right here in the moment together. We're like, I guess. Yeah,
no, some of the highs of doing a killer improv performance is just sitting around with your teammates after and being like, oh yeah, you did do that. That was nuts, and that made me think of this, and then I did that. Yeah. Like, that's like almost better than the actual time on stage. Yeah. Is like sitting there afterwards and being like, I knew you were gonna do that, so then I just waited, right?
And that looking where you start to this is what I try to explain to the kids and why it's so amazing when the same group signs up for, we do 3 sessions during the school year, the 3 10-week sessions. And when the majority of the group is the same week after week, session after session, they get to know each other well. And this is why I love it too, across grade levels. So it's first graders, second, third, fourth, fifth graders, and now they see each other in the hall and they're like, that's my friend from improv.
Right.
But they start to kind of predict, like, oh, they usually go there.
Yep.
You know, they pull out this character a lot, or they like this voice, or they like this whatever. You know, we all have our little, you know, things in our back pocket. And then I really see it in summer camp when we're with each other for multiple hours in a row, day after day, you know, in this shorter amount of time, where improv after school is just 1 hour, 1 day a week. We're learning the others. So I can only imagine, because I've not been in an improv group where I really get, you know, that vibe where, you know, like, I knew you were going to do that and you did it. And I was like, oh, like that, like, I feel hyped just like thinking about that possibility right now.
That's why improv is addictive. It's like, you just want to go back to that.
Yeah.
And you know how they say, like, in improv, different ways of saying this, but it's you're discovering something. Like, you've never seen this before, you've never performed this before, this is entirely new and it will never exist ever again, right? So it's literally, you're discovering something every
what else
time.
is like that?
I don't know, maybe like going to a new town and, like, I don't know,
But again, if you're going from this town, of course that town's going to be different than that town.
Right.
But I think even if you went back to the same town, like, there's now, of course, like, different people, but I don't know. And I don't.
There's very few things that are like that.
Because I have said the same exact thing to my students, to parents, especially when they reach out, like, oh, they did fall improv. Why should I sign up for winter improv?
Right.
And I say, lady, or dude, we could play the same exact games in the same exact order, in the same session every time, and it would be completely different.
Completely different every time.
And they're like, how, you know, what do you mean? You know, and I'm like, I'm glad you asked. Let's
Right.
talk more about that, because one little thing, one word, one emotion, one, you know, changing the setting, changing a character's name, like, just changes everything. Also your mood that day.
Yes.
And whatever else happened, you know, our schema, like, we're pulling things out, putting things in, like, it's always changing. So what occurs to us in that moment, we can't duplicate,
Right.
you know? Even though I pull out my, I don't know.
Right.
It's there, but,
No, it's
like,
different.
the
It's
name
different
is
every
different.
time.
Like, it's different.
Because you're different every time, and there's so many variables. I'm curious if you have this, but sometimes I'll have, like, a character that's popping out, or like, and I'll be like, what's my deal today?
Yeah, like, what is
What's
in my
bothering me?
subconscious that this
Yeah. I did this character, like, it was like a few weeks ago. It was while I was teaching. Every character that I did was like this guy who, like, screwed everything up, and then was like, obviously I screw everything up because I suck. And I was like,
you were in some things that day. You were.
What's my deal today?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's very much like who you are in that moment, and right. There is a magic to, like, discovering it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And that it's something that I want, and I know you want to spread to everybody. And it's like, I want to share this with everybody.
And that's why I'm like, just like the post.
Yeah, just
share the post, save the post, because, you know, it's funny. I've tried to find other, and I think that's how I found you, because I was just like, improv in my area, you know, just wanting to connect, wanting to just see what other people are doing. There's not a lot. And
Right.
I think when we first spoke on the phone a long time ago, there really isn't. Like, between where you are in South Palm Beach County and where I am in North Palm Beach County, like, there's not a lot.
2 or 3 places that are doing it.
Yeah. And even when I've talked to parents about options for their kids, and they're like, oh, so-and-so is improv, and when they kind of tell me about it, I'm like, sounds still more like they're practicing for a production. They're practicing for a product, and it's not about the process. Like,
Yeah.
I'm here when what I'm doing with your kid is literally, we're making the world a better place.
Yeah.
Like, we are doing improv to improve your life.
Yeah.
Like, everything I talk about, it's not just, oh, we play the games and, like, peace out, I'll see you next week. It's what does that look like with your coach on the field? What does that
Mhm.
look like in your classroom? What does
Yeah.
that look like with your parents? What does that look like with your siblings? What does that look like when you're standing in the mirror and you're feeling some things? Like everything, trying to connect it back to that. And there isn't a lot of that out there, you know?
There isn't. And like when we were talking on the phone, I think I said this to you, is that like South Florida is, you know, very busy. It's a large city, but surprisingly has very little improv, which compared to the other cities, you know,
Yeah.
Chicago,
Chicago,
New York,
New York,
LA,
yeah.
right? Like those are the cities that are known for their improv.
Yeah.
And we have almost nothing here, and it's growing. And you know, that's why I connect with you, and I connect with anybody
Yeah.
who will do improv, like
Yeah.
is my best friend immediately, right? And so I think that there's an opportunity for us, and hopefully this ages well. I think there's an opportunity for us to continue to create the community building version of improv, as opposed to sometimes it turning into a cutthroat hierarchy, just like anything else, you know, ruthless competitive environment. Like
not the vibe.
Not the vibe. And it's great that the people so far that I've interacted with down here are like, yeah, that's kind of the point of it. Yeah. And it's not to say, I think people misunderstand that sometimes. Sometimes people think that means that you never want people to succeed past the like community building area.
Say that again.
Yeah, I think sometimes people think that means you have a ceiling, that if you grow too much, then you're no longer community building, that you're now, you know, becoming a talent who is selfish and, you know, isn't here to like spread the love and the growth and everything like that. No. And I disagree with that, because I think people should grow to their max.
And what they want to do.
Yeah.
Like there are uber talented people that aren't interested in becoming the next so-and-so. You know, they are totally happy doing with their family, with their friends, with their little community, whatever. Fine. But if you want, you know, hey, I really want to get to SNL. How fun would that be? Let's do. How can I support you in that endeavor?
Yes.
That's not the season in my life right now. I got a toddler and my stepson and my teenage son. Like, there's a lot going on. I'm not going to New York City anytime soon. But if you had a contact, would I go? Maybe for a little bit.
Right. My kids ask me, how come you don't go on Saturday Night Live?
Well,
I was like, well, Daddy gave up on a lot of dreams.
But I'm really happy here with you, my children.
I don't want to be on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah. But what I was trying to say there was, I think that just improv, or at least improv in the way that it was designed, or like why I say like vibe, like the feeling there, or that like at its core, at its essence, is connection and, you know, having each other's backs. So yeah, I don't think there's room for that, or even that someone needs to think like, oh, and I don't want to join that community because like I don't want to offend them if I start getting too like no, come.
Right.
You know, I even think about it because I have students that started. I'm thinking of this one. He's a senior in high school now at Dreyfus School of the Arts in the theater program. But he was in my class in 3rd grade. He was not the outspoken one. That was not his thing. He decided that he wanted to try improv, probably because there was rapport. He knew that I was the after school teacher doing that. Oh, let me give it a try. And so like he would do the thing. He'd get up and laugh. Like I have old pictures from back in the day, and he's laughing and he'll get up there and do the thing. But he wasn't one of those kids who had to like steal the show. You know? Because even then I'd tell the kid, I'm like, hey, you want to look good, you make everybody else look good. You know, some of them need that reminder.
I learned that the hard way.
And he decided he wanted to audition for Bach Middle School of the Arts, and he got in, but still wanted to do more of the behind the scenes. Ended up auditioning for Dreyfus, got in, still kind of started up behind the scenes. Last year as a junior, he was in one of their big productions on the stage, and was just in there, another big production. And I'm still in touch with his mom. And he actually came to visit during camp and taught them some games. And as I'm talking to the parents to introduce them before our little showcase that we do for summer camp, I got teary-eyed because I told them, and it's bittersweet at my school right now because they built a new school. So a lot of the kids transitioned to this new school. So, and right now I'm still just at the one school. And like, once you're in, you're in,
Right.
you know? And I said, please be in touch and keep me posted. You're in a show. I want to go.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can't go, send me the pictures, send me the videos,
Right.
and I'm going to like it and, you
That's
know,
right.
all the things. And I don't ever want my students even to think like, oh, well, you know, she wasn't in these productions in high school, and because dancing was my thing at that stage, and because Rewind, I was like too afraid to audition for the play, you know, I needed my little improv space as a kid. But I don't ever want them thinking that about me. Like, wherever you go, like, I'm like, here we go, you know, I hope you surpass me, really, you know, like that. How fun for you and for me and everyone else in your path. So it was really sweet. And when I went, I saw the production a couple weeks ago, and I was just thinking like, wow. Now, I don't take all the credit, like, oh, it's all because he did,
No, not at all.
you know, Elevate Improv, but it plants a seed. You know, it's this like trying those different characters out, trying different emotions out, trying just to be the confident kid that would audition for the thing, you know, that it starts somewhere.
Yeah.
And I'm just happy to be on that journey. So I think that is wherever the community ebbs and flows, it's like, let's just keep building there. Because I think if more people practice that mentality of we look better together, we look better because we, you know, are encouraging one another, I think it does make the world a better place. And people think it's so cliche.
I know.
But it's not. It's
not.
so not.
It's so
Imagine
not.
if everyone walked around with that mentality of the yes and.
Right.
I think we'd be better parents.
Yep.
I think we'd be better, you know, a better spouse, a better mother, daughter, you know, whatever it is, just because you take some pause. And I'm not saying I'm just because I do improv that I don't, you know, mess it up, because I do. But having that to fall back on as a reminder, like, oh, I could have done this, you know, even my toddlers in the no.
Right.
So it's even acknowledging that. I understand you want to climb up onto the counter. Let's do this,
right,
you know,
right.
Or, you know, Mom, if you want to do that, Mommy can come with you, you know.
Yeah.
Even that I keep challenging myself because I want to say, no.
Right.
Don't do that. That's not safe. Like, I want to start with that, but I'm like, what? If you were recording me and that's all I was saying to my toddler all day long,
right.
Oh my gosh, I do better.
Yes.
I can do better than that. And I can, like, let's turn this into something else, you know, but if everyone kind of had that mentality, traffic on 95 would look a lot different too.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, you're in a rush? Go right on ahead of me.
Right.
Yes, that sounds great.
Right.
No, but seriously, I think in my dad says, he reminds me that many people can communicate, few connect. So people think that because they are eloquent or they have a great vocabulary or they don't stutter when they speak or they always know the right thing to say, that they're great at communicating. But if you're not connecting, what good is all that?
Say it again. Many people can
communicate, few really connect.
Yeah. I love that. That's so true. It's so true. You have people that sometimes they just completely miss connecting with people when, like, you could have said nothing and you could have been so present and so connected.
Improv teaches you that
Improv.
too.
Oh, improv taught me that big time.
And it's
I
hard.
learned how to shut up.
Which is so hard.
It's so hard
for me.
It's
so hard. So hard.
No.
I'm the one who, back in high school, you know, when you'd be on the phone, that still was connected to the house people. That was a thing. Even if it was cordless, it was okay. You couldn't do it. Whatever. Anyway, I'd be on the phone. So I was talking to someone, and there was that awkward silence. I would repeat myself. So say the end of I would say, improv would make the world a better place. Did you know? Improv would make the world a better place. Please.
You just fill it with an echo of yourself.
I would just repeat the thing and hope that they were gonna bite on and say something, respond, acknowledge. Oh my gosh, that just came to me. But that was the thing. I did that, and me being now an adult and teaching children how to be okay with that silence. in a scene, because they too, they'll be like, oh, I guess it's like it didn't end scene.
Right.
I'm like,
whoa, right.
It's beautiful.
Right.
Let's rewind and let's sit in this silence. I'm not gonna let you talk for a second. Look at each other, stare in each other's eyes, like, and they're like, get funny, like, and I'm like, yeah, get in the soul, get on there,
get in there, 100%.
Just like take a breath. And if you really are feeling uncomfortable in the silence, you could do something with your hand. You can kind of give a little, move something, touch your hand, but don't say anything. And just like feel it. And that with people, because I've noticed in hard times, sometimes you don't want somebody to say anything.
Right.
Or learning they didn't want you to say something, to them. People need someone to listen to, And that is a powerful improv reminder too. Just like being in the moment, Just be there, listen, wait. Don't echo yourself unless your character always has an echo.
Well, that's good. I like that as a character.
Dive right in and echo everything. Yeah.
And okay, so as a therapist, they teach you when you're in school that you have to be okay with silence because you're sitting with your client and they say something, you can't just fill it in because you're uncomfortable. If the silence is there for a reason, you got to let it sit, right? And so like I didn't struggle with that tremendously.
Yeah.
But doing improv, what it taught me was that wanting to fill the silence, at least for me, is almost like a fear that the spotlight, when it moved away from me, is never coming back. So then it's like holding on to the spotlight, like don't freaking turn that away.
The second I stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I realized that first of all, it does come back.
There's some serious control need there.
Yeah, control. And this almost like desperate need to make sure that I don't lose the spotlight. It does come back. B, supporting somebody else when the spotlight is on them is the best way to have it come back to you, right? And then the third thing, which is much bigger than everything, is that you can be the most impactful person in the room by saying nothing. Because sometimes, let's say in comedy, when there's a moment where the normal thing to do would be to say something and then you don't say something, that's funny. Meaning, because it's an underreaction. It's like, like, that's it, I'm leaving you. We're done. Our marriage is over. 45 years. And he just stands there. Right? Like, sometimes saying nothing is it is the biggest moment in, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, like, you get to support from that space. You don't lose anything. Like we're saying, like you like someone's post, you don't lose anything. Yeah. Sometimes you just stand there silently. You're supporting. You don't lose anything. And then you can really appreciate how, okay, there's a silence for a reason. And I don't have to be afraid of losing the spotlight because it's here and it's moving and it's coming back and I'm giving it to you.
Yeah.
And you give it back to me. And ultimately it's on all of us, right? Yeah. I remember the first time I did it in an improv scene. It was in a class and there was a woman there she was naturally very talented, but it was her first class. And after 4 or 5 times of exercises with her, it was very obvious that she was going to keep talking through the scene. She was just going to keep going. She made these characters that had endless stream of consciousness flowing out of her.
Monologue after monologue.
Yeah. And so I came into a scene. I don't remember how the structure of the game was set up, but essentially, I knew already that she was like a little girl who was running back and forth in the scene, saying, how come you never get me any toys? How come you never take me anywhere? So I stood in the center of what would have been the stage, with a drink in my hand, and I just kept sipping it as she was like running around me. And I remember thinking consciously in my head, like, this is weird.
Yes.
This is awesome. And then I think it was a callback to another scene, but at a certain point, I turned to her and I said, you need to stop talking or I'm going to lock you in a cage in the corner. And that was like, and then someone went, scene. And it was perfect. It was perfect.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I ever did that, like in my entire life, where I was like, you could be quiet and it could be the funniest thing. People were laughing because this guy was standing there not listening to his daughter, just drinking as she was accusing him of not being there for him.
She was just going on and on.
And I was just like, you know, and you thought I was going to defend myself at the end of it. And I said, could you quiet down or I'm going to lock you in a corner in the cage or I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
That was one of the most valuable things I learned in terms of performing, but in terms of life in general. Like the spotlight it's not something that goes away and never comes back.
And I think that goes to that idea of creating the community and not being afraid to find this, or, you know, being worried about the kind of ceiling on that community, because it's abundant. Like it's like there's a difference between that like abundant mindset and the scarcity mindset. Like, and that is something that is so powerful, and so many people are so stuck in, you know, this scarcity mindset. Well, if this happens, then, like you said, the spotlight's not going to come back to me. Or if I give too many likes, then what? I don't know. You know, because I don't think about it like that. So it's hard for me sometimes.
Because I don't think it's rational.
Yeah.
I don't think that fear is rational. Because I've thought about the liking thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like the actual consequence, right? It's always interesting to think about when we're anxious about something, like what would happen if the worst case scenario happened or it didn't go well, right? In certain situations, we could be like, well, I'll die, right? Like if you're anxious, right? If you're anxious
too many likes.
Yeah, right.
Done.
Right? But like if you're anxious about, I don't know, like a medical appointment, right? So then you're anxious because you're afraid that you're going to get news that could mean you're going to die, right? But like with performance anxiety, like what's the worst that could happen? And so with the liking thing, I've thought about it, like what's the worst that could happen? I think that people don't want to unintentionally commit themselves to always liking someone else's content. Like, how come you didn't like my thing? So they like want to hold back on it. So it's like, I don't always have to like it every single time. You know?
Because it's not like the content is all that different. If you like this one, chances are you're going to like my next one.
Right.
Now, I know I'm not like super niche, where like I also talk about how improv can help you as a parent. Improv is great if you're a teacher and you want to integrate it in the classroom, or, you know, there are many ways, but the humanness is there of like, oh, wow, this is a great thing that is just good for the world. You know, like more people need this kind of thing. Like there's a lot of content that's like, this is not making anyone better, happier. It's making you more anxious because you're worried about the food you should and shouldn't be eating, and the cookware, and the this and the that, and the blah, 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 and the politics. Let's please like help your algorithm out. Heart some improv stuff.
Yeah, do that. Oh, we already said to do that, but anyways, still
do it again. Do another page.
Yeah, good.
Do this one, then this one. You know.
Okay, so since we only know each other on an improv level, I have questions about you as a person.
Okay.
So here's where I wanna go. You were a teacher full time, and used to do after school stuff, and now you've shifted. You don't teach.
So I'm on a leave of absence right now from classroom teaching. Okay. So yeah, I've been an elementary school teacher for 15 years. 8 years ago, I started the after school program.
Okay.
And that was really because I started integrating the drama kind of activities into reading comprehension, into writing, descriptive writing, just because it's more fun.
Yeah.
And I loved learning that way. When teachers said, you know, okay, read this novel and then you pick a project, I always picked the more theatrical. I remember Alas Babylon, a couple of my friends, we videoed each other doing something, reenacting a scene, and I remember too hot, because he was drinking coffee. I don't really remember the book. Sorry, the language arts teacher in high school, but I do remember that, and it being fun. Like, so it made me want to go to class and learn more. And so anytime there's a professional development of one, it was a dramatic approach to reading comprehension. I was like, I want that. Like, how do I teach like that? And then I realized it was like easy for me anyway, because that was kind of, I'm always kind of like silly, goofy. That's just, that resonates with me. So
was this a change away from the classroom teaching? Meaning, essentially what I'm asking is it that the classroom teaching kind of clashes with the whole improv energy, and you're like, I love the kids so much and I love teaching them, but the classroom maybe not so much? Or is this just kind of like, I want to focus on this for a while, but I do want to get back to the classroom teaching?
So, all of the above. I created improv after school to be separate from what I was able to integrate into the classroom, because the mandates that are still in the classroom with the testing and the, prescribed curriculum and all that, there's only so much I could do during school time. So I was like, I want to give these kids an opportunity to get more without the confines of standards and testing and all that, where we could just be and do all things improv. And so the last 8 years of doing both, I got my fix of like this super creative aspect. And again, there were times in the classroom where it checked those boxes, where I was able to, we would reenact a scene from a story, or even just something as simple as like, okay, the main character in this story, how would he stand? How would he sit? And then the kids were telling me like, wow, it really helps me understand the story way better. I'm like, that's exactly
right.
That's why we're doing this. And so this year, now with having a little one at home and like there's a lot of factors in wanting to just kind of focus on being home and family, and also not going from busy to busy and getting improv then into like every school in Palm Beach County and all that, because I want to be present at home. Like that was the main part of this right now. But finding that I could fill that cup without it being all day, every day, like being in the classroom, and on my own creative influence, not here's when you're supposed to test, here's da.
Right.
And that has been this open, freeing experience where I recently did a corporate event working with non-improvisers.
Right.
And watching the energy shift in the room, just letting improv do what improv does, was incredible. And hearing the feedback from the rest of the weekend, they were more open, vulnerable, feeling more comfortable with each other. People from all over the country that weren't necessarily, friends, colleagues, but they were working with each other, sharing ideas freely. So talk about that scarcity versus abundant mindset. Sharing these business ideas that were making them money with other people in their industry. Oh, let me tell you another one. Right. Now, again, I'm not saying that's all because of improv, but like, did that play a part? Like, I truly believe that, of course.
But did you know that you, how did you come across improv in the first place? Yeah.
Okay. Good question.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I just thought of it.
I always loved, do you remember back in the day, Nickelodeon, like Kenan and Kel, all that? So like the kid kind of SNL.
Yeah.
I always loved that. And I would put on little things like that for my stuffed animals, my Barbies. Like I was always kind of playing things out. I would tell my friends on the playground, okay, you're going to be this person, I'm going to be this, and we're going to, that was always kind of like brewing in me in childhood. But there wasn't ever improv. Like there wasn't, I don't think I learned that term until in my adult years, seeing other people. We did this thing at school once where my principal was always trying to come up with fun and exciting things for us to do. It was called a school-wide enrichment model. And you had to pick some kind of focus. Some were picking photography, music, cooking, and I picked improv. Because it kind of went off of some of what I was learning about integrating the performing arts in the classroom. And I started reaching out to, because I was part of it. You had to bring in somebody from the community.
So this is when, like
2006. This was before I started Elevate Improv.
Okay. So this is when. So before then, you really didn't have any interaction with improv.
No, I never.
Meaning, like your soul knew improv from when you were a kid, but you didn't really have any.
I didn't do an improv class. I just had an affinity for that type of art form. But then it started getting more, because one of the conferences I went to, it was an improv, how to bring improv into the classroom. Specifically improv, not just drama or like performing arts. And I remember the rest of the class is watching, and I'm here with someone, and we're doing something, and I was like, like the after effect.
Yep.
Like, I was like, that was so much fun. Let's do that again. Can we do that again? You know? And so then it was kind of in my mind. And when we came back, that was during the summer, when we came back to the school year, and my principal said, hey, I want to do this school-wide enrichment model. I was like, I'm doing improv.
Mm-hmm.
I started just like reaching out on all my, weekends, nights. Like, I became kind of obsessed. I started reading books, reading blogs, reading all this. It wasn't just like, oh, this is for now this after school thing or this thing that we're doing in school. Mm-hmm. I became obsessed. And
I just want to say this.
Please.
You that like I was saying before, like I walked through a door and then
yes,
right.
That was
it's
the
like
door.
Someone else told me. She's a therapist who does improv in Naples. She told me, I think that it was her head exploded the first time she did improv. Her head exploded, and I was like, yes, right.
So did
yes, and it's like not everybody's head explodes, but like if you're one of those people that has
and
like
your
a little
heart explodes.
yeah,
like,
there's like something there that like there's a button, and then like improv like pushes that button, and you're like, what
so
the oh my
much fun.
and then you're like, I'm obsessed with it, and it's not just for school, and I'm reading these books, and then you're talking to people about it, and they're like, what is improv? I thought that was stand up, and you're like, no, it's not actually.
That conversation comes up a lot.
Right?
Like, oh, I love stand up, and I'm like, this is not stand up. I want to make that clear. Maybe one day they'll be like, I'll like do some.
I'm gonna get you there.
Yeah,
I want you to do 5 minutes of stand up.
I'll introduce you, and maybe I'll tell a joke.
No, I'm gonna get you there. That's
write it down.
Yeah, no, there are certain people I have like I'm like, I can get you there, and then you're gonna be like, wow, I can do anything.
And that's gonna be the next
head.
My head's gonna explode.
Your head's gonna explode, but it's not gonna explode like improv, because improv, right? So your head exploded in 2016 or 2017.
Yeah,
something
around
like
that.
Right. Okay.
So maybe more like 2016, because it was Elevate started 2017. But yeah, I started reaching out to different people. Then I took my first class.
Okay.
It was a school night, too late, too far. And I'm like, why am I doing this? I need to wake up early the next morning. I'm so nervous. Like, all this stuff, like, all the things. Sweating. And I remember, and then it was a stage. It was at the Arts Garage, I think, in Del Rey.
Okay.
This was Improv U. Improv U's gone from
Orlando.
South Florida, now Orlando.
They're
not
the best,
too far.
but they're in Orlando now.
But it was Anthony Francis. I talked to him on the phone, and he was like, you need to reach out to this other people, and I talked to them, and they ended up coming out. I'm trying to think of, Red Carpet Kids. They were like out of Manhattan.
I've heard of that, yeah. Okay.
They ended up coming to do improv with me, with the students.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it was like one of those experiences where like finding like-minded people who are like totally in on the vibe. It was so much fun. But I went to this class, and I remember getting on stage. Like, we were all on the stage, but it felt even more official because it was like a actual stage where we say stage, and it's like we're on the same.
Yeah.
And we were like mermaids in a nursing home or something. I think I was like, I'm so dry. Someone hand me the moisturizer. My tail hasn't been moisturized. My teeth are falling out, But it was just so random, all the things. And again, all of the things that I was so worried about, it didn't exist anymore, Yeah. And now, after the fact, I was like, oh, when that scene happened, I could have said this, or when we played this game, I wish I said that, or, but I think that's just because I care. I like it. Like, it's fun. So it's always like the fun doesn't end in my head.
Yes.
And then I took a couple more classes with Improv U, and every time was just as fun as the time before. And I would bring some of those games back with my students. And then that was kind of when I was like, I need to do this too. Like, I want to bring to this space, especially in the kids, like, because I am great at building rapport with kids. I am good at finding like that piece of them that I can pull out. Like, so I thought, as fun as it was for me to do this with other adults, instead of diving into that scene of like for myself, getting in a troupe, finding, because those exist, I wanted to give that opportunity to kids. And that filled my cup too, because I totally get as playful with them. I get with them. I'm in the scene with them, and and the rest is history. It's just it's wild that
for so long you could go without like having that button pushed, right? And then once it gets pushed, then your head explodes and you're like, okay, now I want to do it. But like, you know, because I have a somewhat of a similar story. Like when I was a kid, I was always like wanted to do like plays and act things out and be silly, and I used to study Saturday Night Live. I used to sit and watch. We had VHSs, and I would watch it over and over again, and I would try to do Bill Clinton when I was a little kid.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I would try Daryl Hammond. I would try to be Bill Clinton, and then actually when I was in high school, I did a George Bush for our Purim video that I was telling you about, and I was really just impersonating Will Ferrell, impersonating George Bush, right?
Interesting, yeah.
But like everyone in the school loved it, and I would go to my friend's house, and their parents would be like, "Oh, George Bush is here!"
Oh, that's
and like I loved the attention, and I loved the whatever. And I don't know, you didn't mention whose line is it anyway. People usually mention that. Of course,
yes. Yeah. That was always a show that I just. Even when my friends are like, this is kind of stupid, you know, like what? Yeah, right. This is it's gold. It's so fun.
Right.
I always said, and I would tell my students, I'm like, we need to create this like for kids, like a kid appropriate, because obviously I can't tell the kids. I'm like, you could ask your parents, maybe they can watch an episode and then let you know if that one's okay for kids. But I do wish there was more for kids to watch to see, you know, what's possible in that. Because you know what's crazy? I had a mom tell me once her kid, who was like 10, said, "Yeah, Mom, I love improv. It reminds me of when I used to be a little kid and play." And I'm like, dude, you are a little kid. But our society has these kids growing up so fast. Yep. And I think school does that too. It's like they have to write these multi-paragraph essays when they're like 6, 7, 8, you know? And it's like, let them just be kids.
Right.
So what are we saying as adults, as teachers, as coaches, as parents, that makes a 10-year-old think that they should be done being silly like a little kid?
Well, right. I actually think, I have a lot of thoughts on this, but I actually think that some of what gets communicated to them is because we decide that there's an age when you should no longer be playful. And so then we tell them, you are emerging into adulthood, so that means you're like shedding this playfulness. And then as adults, I question, who said?
Yeah.
Right? Who said you shouldn't be playful? And is this the best version of you to not be playful? So it's like, it's either directly said to them, like you're too old to do this now, or it's implied too, where it's like, as you grow up, you no longer do these things. And I think that message is terrible. I think it's terrible for so many reasons. One of the main reasons why it's terrible is because the best way to learn is through play.
Yeah.
And we know this, and it's so crazy how when you do a corporate workshop,
right,
they're always like, wow, I'm so surprised that I learned so much from a simple exercise, and like we had a great time. And I'm like, yeah, it's shocking that the way that you learned everything when you were a kid and that you enjoyed stuff, and you still your soul didn't like morph into something else because you're 46
we
now.
Teach it out.
Yeah, right, exactly, yeah.
People instead of remembering, and that's it. That's the head exploding. That's the walking through the door. It's the remembering. This is how I learn.
Right.
This is how I learned everything.
Yes.
How to communicate.
Yes.
How to build. How to clean. How to like think about the songs you sing your kids. Like clean up. Like everything is in play. Is in fun. Is in joy.
Right.
Like so it's that moment of remembering. Like oh, this is how we're supposed to exist.
Yes. Yeah, it's wild to me. I think about this all the time. The things that we learned when we were kids, or that our kids learn now, which they didn't take a class for, but they know better than anyone else on the planet, right? No kid has to take an iPad class.
No.
So what happened there?
No.
What happened? They taught themselves. But you need to teach them in a structured way. Otherwise, they're not gonna learn things. But then they learn all this other stuff. I was gonna say crap, but it's not crap.
Yeah.
There's
some of these are important things.
Yeah. But they just learn it on their own. I saw this. This was probably the greatest tweet of all time that I've seen. This somebody wrote, if it became normal to hire a walking teacher for your newborns, in one generation, we would believe that kids would not be able to walk unless they had a walking teacher.
One more time.
If we started hiring teachers to teach our newborns how to walk, in one generation from now, we would have a belief that kids would not know how to walk unless we had a walking teacher teaching them how to do it.
I bring up the walking example a lot with my students, whether it was in the classroom because they were upset about learning how to write an essay, like I said, or whatever it is. It's going to be hard, right? Like when you started walking, did you just get up and start walking?
Right.
No. You probably fell a lot. But because you didn't have the language attached to what falling meant.
Right.
You got up.
Right.
And you kept trying.
Right.
Or again, we wouldn't have people who walked from point A to point B because then they would have been like, oh, it's too hard. I'm done. Now, of course, there are other extenuating circumstances for some people. But for the most part, you walk, you get up, you hobble, or it's like, and it's this gradual process too. They're pulling themselves up.
Right.
They're bouncing. They kind of let go. They fall.
Right.
They kind of then start, gliding along, and then they let go. They fall. They take a step. They fall. Like, it's this process, but there is never the thought from the parent or the child that says, this is not going well.
Right.
They're not going to do it.
Oh,
They've
he
fallen.
just fell.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. If he
Not
falls
good.
twice today, might have to get a new walking teacher.
Yeah, that walking teacher before just is not cutting it.
Yeah.
2 times too many.
No, it's why Victor Wooten. I don't know if you're familiar with Victor Wooten, but Victor Wooten he's a world-class bassist, but he's also a music philosopher.
Okay.
And I talk about his stuff all the time, and I apologize for continuing to talk about Victor Wooten.
Lay it on me.
But his main message, he did a TED Talk on this, and he's been saying this for years, is that music is a language. And think about how you learned your first language. You did not have somebody coaching you how to say words. You just started saying things that were like not words, but they were sounds, and then you started kind of shaping them, and then you'd kind of get close to a word, and everyone would go, "Yay!" Right? And he says, you would say it wrong, and sometimes your parents even adapt that way of saying it, right? That's why we say Paschetti. It's so cute when a kid says Paschetti, right? And so he's like, music is a language. So if you want your kid to play music, don't sit there and give them lessons like da-da-da-da-da. Immerse them in music, right? And don't tell them that was the right note and that was the wrong note, right? And it's true about everything. I think, like, the way I think about it is that kids and people, because kids and people are people are people, right? Everybody has a soul, and the soul wants to learn, and the soul wants to grow. And then there are these external forces. I'm basically explaining humanistic existential theory right now, but there are these external things, right, which then block the forward momentum of the soul. And then when you move those out of the way, it's just going to keep moving forward because it was a machine that had the forward momentum, and then something interfered with it, right? And so self-consciousness is something that interferes with our connection and all that kind of stuff. The thing that I think is the hardest for people to wrap their head around, teachers and parents specifically, is that you're not teaching them. You are there to help remove something so that thing which you didn't create the momentum, but that thing can go forward and go get it, right?
The ego of parents and teachers they don't like that.
I don't like it.
Because it becomes like their identity.
Yes.
And I've been there as teacher, as parent.
Yeah.
Like, well, that's my job. That's what I'm supposed to. Whoa, no. Like, even stepping back to look at it more as a facilitator, even in your therapy, like, you're not there to tell them what to do, and that is where I think, to bring it in with improv, that's exactly what improv allows. Yeah. When you are, as teacher, as improv professional, as improv, as hobby, as improv, as someone taking a class, like, it's opening the space for your person to just do the thing. Yeah, right. Whatever that is for you, because I think each class, even each teaching experience for me brings something to me. Yes. It teaches me something in that moment that either I use as a point to teach them, like, oh, that just made me think of this, or I mess up the game, that one of those like out games, and I mess up and it gives me an idea for another game, or just a lesson, a life lesson, or I'm like experiencing something and I'm like, oh, I gotta write that down. I gotta tell my improv kids that, because improv is life. And it allows for that space to create, to mess up, and we're gonna celebrate that. Like,
yes.
To try something even when you're like, I'm just gonna let it out, and then that worked out.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Or it didn't. And that's okay too. Because everybody still got my back. You know, we're in this experience. But I think, and that's the thing with like school in a traditional sense, there's still like right and wrong, and there's this, did I do it right? And I see kids do that even with me. They're looking at me like, is this right? And I'm like, you do you.
Yeah.
Like, how does it feel to you? Sure, I'm teaching principles, or I'm teaching like the rules of the game, but don't worry, let's see what happens. And that is something I think a lot of parents and teachers have a hard time with.
Yes, I think they have a hard time with it, and I think you're 100% right about it becoming sometimes people's identity, that, you know, I am the teacher, I am the parent, and if you're going to say that I'm not really doing what I think I'm doing, then I'm going to take that personally, and I might defend myself against that so-called criticism. But I think that what it comes down to is really having the belief that their soul is in motion already, because then you know your role. Meaning, it's not like a parent does nothing. It's not like a teacher does nothing.
Right.
It's just I'm not creating. It's, you know what I mean? It's like I don't know, if you had like a train that was stuck and you moved like a brick out of the way, right? So then the train moves forward. You can be very proud of moving that brick out of the way.
Right on.
Yeah,
move that brick.
Right, but don't become delusional to think that you are now making the train go forward.
Yeah.
But meaning that when you don't think that you are making the train go forward, then I think you are comfortable having them make mistakes. Because you're like, your soul will
You're
recover.
not taking it personally, too.
Yes.
Because I see that with parents when I share something and they're like, the face changes, because you can just see they're making it about them.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, we are here to help guide and all the things, parent, teacher, but kids are gonna do what they're gonna do. People are gonna do what people are gonna do,
Right.
and being okay with that, and letting them learn, letting them experience. But also, something I want to add is modeling for them. If you're not okay making mistakes, how do you expect your kid to make a mistake?
Right.
If you're not okay, with trying new things, oh, he just won't try. When have you tried something new?
Right.
Or when you do, how do you talk to yourself?
Right.
All these things, kids are watching. It's funny. My husband was doing this. He was being silly, talking like, oh, we're going to do this. And 20 months old, she's doing this when she's saying something.
Right.
He wasn't teaching her to do that.
Right.
She just saw him doing it and she thought it was fun and she wanted to try it. And now she's like, what are you going to do? Yeah. And I could give you countless examples of that with the little one, with the 7-year-old, with the 17-year-old. Like, they're always watching, or a classroom full of kids. Like, if the way we talk about ourselves is the way that they're going, that's their internal voice. I think I saw something about that recently where it was like, they did a survey on adolescents or like early adult age, what the voice of their inner critic sounded like. Yeah. It's their parents.
It's their parents. Oh, it always is. I always look for those words. Sometimes someone will use a word that's outside of their vocabulary in describing their failings, or a word that's like a little bit outdated. And it's kind of like, who used that word? Yeah, well, my dad used to say, I'm a bonehead. Oh, well, okay, that's interesting, right? You've internalized that. But there was something else you were saying. Oh, I lost my train of thought.
Modeling, being okay, giving the space to make a mistake.
It's important. I'm gonna get it. Hold on. Yes, you reminded me of. Do you remember the movie The Fighter? So it was Christian Bale, Mark Wahlberg.
Yes.
So Christian Bale is like the failed boxer who had one big win and then his career never went anywhere. And Mark Wahlberg's character is starting to have an up and coming career, right? And there's a point where Christian Bale's character, who is, you know, a loser in a lot of ways, who's trying to like latch on to Mark Wahlberg's fame, like gets upset about something. He's in the locker room, and this is it was such a minor detail in the movie. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about here.
No, but what I'm thinking, and then I'm reminding myself to just listen to what you're saying, is just how I think when you're in improv or therapy or as a parent, like there's always something in a movie that you're like,
Yeah. Right.
I gotta remember.
Right. 100%. Christian Bale's character gets angry while they're in their locker room, and he punches the locker. And then I don't even know if the camera fully pans to his like 3-year-old son, or if it was like off in the side. But then his son punches the locker.
Now I remember.
Such a
this.
detail,
yeah.
but it's so significant. It just like tells the whole story of parenting, and children are learning. And it's not like, oh, this is what I want to say before. It should not bring up fear in us, right? Where we're like, well, they're watching us all the time. And so
much pressure.
Right? No,
I don't want to mess up. My kid's gonna end up at the improv therapist.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Don't. That's true. That's true. But I thought you said my kid's gonna end up being an improv therapist, and I'm like, don't wish that. That's rough.
That's great.
Because I always joke that, you know, my family is all actually all rabbis, not my mom. But when people ask me about being the improv therapist, so they say, well, that's interesting. So I said, well, I was a therapist, so I disappointed my parents once. And then I needed to come up with another way to do it, so I became a comedian. And now,
here you are.
Here I am. But I think it's not about fear with parenting, because then people get, you know, they get in their head, and they also start to think that they are more important than they actually are. And, you know, I mean, it comes back around. I think the reminder should be that your kids are always watching and learning, so relax and trust their ability to learn stuff. Don't force a lesson on them. Don't force them to like perform a certain way to show that they've learned something. They are learning so much more than you could ever comprehend, because you were a kid and your parents didn't teach you everything. Your school didn't teach you everything, and you don't even know what you were absorbing and how you learned it. And that's like, you know, so I think it's like reminding us, like, the kids are doing 80% of the work. So I want to model something good so that it goes into that system, which is already firing on all cylinders.
Happening.
Yep, it's happening, right.
And being a part of it with them, like healing that inner child in you that was told to be more serious or to not make mistakes, you know, allowing yourself to be playful with them, letting them see you. Talk about connection, right? When they see you as somebody that they can learn with, right, or count on to be present while they're telling you this game, you know, or asking you a million questions or whatever it is, like just being and allowing yourself to think about maybe what's holding you back. Maybe there was something from your childhood there was no time, we're busy, or or why do you look so silly, or, you know, all those things, like you said, that people kind of have that inner dialogue. Hold on to that for a second, get curious, and then let's try something new. Let's like let it go and be able to be with our kid. And at any age, sometimes I talk to parents who their kids are older, they're more like my teenager's age, and they're like, oh, I like missed the boat, and I'm like, what? There's so many ways that you can still be playful with a teenager, you know, and it might look different than with a toddler or, you know, a 7-year-old.
Well, and I think with teenagers, I think it goes back to that silence thing, is that people get uncomfortable when their teenagers being quiet.
Oh, and it's been me. What's the matter? What's wrong?
Right.
Is something bothering you? Right. I'm like, you know better. Just let it be.
Yes.
Hey, I'm here if you want to talk.
Right.
Are you hungry? No. Wait, what? You're not hungry. Something's really wrong. No.
Right. No, people get uncomfortable with their kids, their teenagers being silent.
Yeah.
And like there's a lot of that, which is very normal on the teenager's end, right? But it also goes back to what we were saying before about sharing the spotlight and being okay in silence, right? Like you can have a great experience with your teenager without saying a freaking word. Right. And I saw this, actually, this was 7 or 8 years ago. We left South Florida for the big hurricane I think it was Irma. And we actually just got in our car, and we have some friends in Atlanta, and we're like, can you get us somewhere to stay? Because they had somebody already in there, you know?
Yeah.
And so we stayed at someone's house who we had never met before.
Wow, what an experience.
And it turns out that the dad is a therapist.
Okay.
And we had a lot of great conversations, and I was earlier on in my career. I learned a lot from him, actually, from that weekend. But the thing that I learned the most from him was Friday night, he was like, me and I forgot his son's name, but probably like 15, 16 years old. Every Friday night we play ping pong. And they played ping pong for like, I think he said, if you want, you can join us, like you can play a round or two, whatever. Yeah. But I remember like looking at them, and I was like, this teenager doesn't hate his parents.
Yeah.
This teenager likes his parents.
Yeah.
And this father is not demanding anything of his teenager. He's saying, do you want to play ping pong with me? And then he says, fine.
Yeah.
Right? And then they just,
I guess.
And they were just playing ping pong. And I was like, how many teenagers could actually say that they have this type of positive experience with their parents? And how many parents would be willing to say, I will do that with my son, and we won't talk the entire time? Because a lot of parents be like, I'm going to do that, but he better say something, and he better, and like,
and
no.
I'm going to tell him about that thing.
Right, and I'm going to teach him a lesson, and I'm going to talk to him about blah, blah, blah. They literally just played ping pong, and I was like, that was such a valuable lesson that I just experienced.
Talk about communicating versus connecting.
Yes.
Like, sometimes the connection is all that's needed.
Yep.
And that does the silence, I love it.
Yeah, it meant so much to me, and it's so interesting that just popped in my head, because I haven't thought about that in a very long time, and I didn't stay in touch with with that therapist, and I don't know, maybe worth reaching out, but I'm really glad that we had this conversation, because I hope, this is my hope. My hope is to the audience that we're bringing in. We're kind of bridging the gap between wacky improvisers and like just regular non-wacky people who want to connect more. And there is a space, there is a shared space, and that's, I want to get your thoughts on this before we go. There is a shared space where like you don't have to go all the way to the deep end of wacky improv in order to benefit from it, but you don't have to stay in this little bubble where you don't ever step out and take a chance and challenge your self-consciousness and things like that. This maybe is too much on the spot, but what would you say to somebody who, let's say, wants to take a tiny step into improv land, but feels all the nervousness and all the self-consciousness, and maybe even is like, this is not something I would do if I wasn't just trying to connect to my kids or my family or something like that. Like, what would you say is a good kind of step for them to take to just kind of like touch that door?
First step, even just experiencing that for themselves in private. So they're driving and they're like, oh, look today. And they kind of try in a different voice. Because I bet you a lot of these people have never even like talked in an accent or talked like a robot or talked like a famous chef. Just even, when you're cooking, when you're driving, when you're getting ready in the morning, narrate, pretend you're a different character and get dressed. So I think there can be a lot of things that person who's like, I'm not ready for a class. I'm not ready to even do this with my kid because I'm feeling that self-conscious or that this is feeling so awkward and uncomfortable for me. Do it by yourself. Like I said, the bathroom, the car, the wherever you get your 5 seconds of quiet time. Even at first, you can even do it in your head. Like, what would I say if, And then I think the more you do that, the more that walking in the door, you're like walking in the like, on the driveway or you're getting closer. And then maybe trying a class or even following a game, seeing a game that you've played on your page or mine or some playful, like, and just trying that. And some of them can even be while you're driving and your kid's in the back seat or you're in wherever your kid sits in the car, where it doesn't need to be this theatrical production because most of the things are not. I mean, they're not. Improv is not a theatrical production. But I think for some people it can feel that way. So try by yourself. Try with someone who you feel comfortable with. You know, maybe trying with your child or your spouse or a friend. Like, even a silly game, you know, with your spouse can lighten up at the end of the day.
Yes.
Talking about, oh, the schedules, the things, da-da-da-da-da. Like, you know, if you had to talk to me with an accent, like if you just saw me and you didn't know what I sounded like, give me a voice. Like, what would I sound like?
Nice. You would sound like, hello, my name is Emily Elliott.
Emily Elliott. There's a story there.
I've been holding that for like 2 hours.
But perfect. Like,
right.
And then think about the mood. At the end of the day, you're stressed. You just go to bed. You're, you know, or you're like recapping the day and what needs to happen tomorrow with your partner or your child or even a friend, whatever. Like, just throw something random out there and just see what happens. Even you put it on them.
Right.
Even, you know, you don't even have to do it. Like, hey, like I said, I just put it on you, and maybe, but I'm the one who kind of wants to bring some more improv fun into my life, but I still put it on you.
Right.
And that, I laughed, and now I'm ready to give it a try too, because you tried. Now, you could have said, no, I'm not in the mood. Right. I'm tired. I'm going to bed.
Right.
Okay. Can I try?
Right.
Can I give you a voice?
Right.
Or, okay.
I saw that reel that you did with your husband.
Oh my gosh.
With the faces.
He's not an improv guy.
It took a while to get the engine going.
He's funny though. Like, he has his own.
Just to explain what the reel was, right? So it's you make a face, and then I would make the noise.
You make the sound.
I make the sound that goes with that facial expression, and then we switch.
Yep.
We're going to do it before we go.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, and then I'll zoom in on him.
And I told him, he's like, what, right now? Like, really? And we're waiting. Our boys were out fishing. We're in Utah, and the toddler's getting restless. You know, she's climbing on us, and I'm like, let's just do it. And the rest of our drive changed after that. Our mood, like, we're hungry. We were so hungry. We both get a little hangry, too. So we were just like, where are they? Are they almost back? And I was like, let's do this thing. He was like, what? But he was a great trooper, and then we had so much. It was just so much fun. So yes, we'll do it. But little micro changes, micro moments, micro decisions to be a little silly, quirky, interesting, challenge yourself. Even like make up a word, throw in a word. I think I saw a game. I think that exists.
Yes.
And I've played something like that. And whenever I see things, I'm like, I should have made that. But it's you get this card, and when you're with family, like, it would be great for people at Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
They need to sponsor us, whoever makes this game.
Yes.
We could put them on the map.
It.
You get the card, and you have to add it into the conversation without people noticing. And if you add it in and no one notices, you get like a bonus point. But chances are they're going to notice if you're like, you know, scallywag when you're talking about like the Brussels sprouts at Thanksgiving. Like, someone's going to be like, did you say scallywag?
Right.
But even that, like, throw in a random word. Learn a new word. So now you're improving your vocabulary.
I love
Learn
that.
a new word, and then add it into your conversation and say it a little, like, put your pinky up.
Yes. I know. I love that the whole idea of like almost like micro-dosing improv. Yeah. Right? I've recommended people make faces in the mirror. Yeah. Right? And that goes back to, you know, I quote this all the time, Viola Spolin, you know, in the 30s, the mother of American improv and all that, social worker, talking about how when you become so entrenched in the approval or disapproval of other people, you smell with others' noses and you see with others' eyes.
Whoa.
Yep.
Wow.
So that means that if you're looking in the mirror and you have a judgment on yourself, that's not your judgment. You've internalized whatever other people's judgments are. So you might be embarrassed to do something when no one else is around, not even another person. So who are you embarrassed in front of? Yourself? Why are you embarrassed in front of yourself?
What is that?
It's because you're not looking with your eyes, you're looking with other people's eyes. So I recommended to people that they make faces in the mirror. I love all the little micro examples, you know, take just an accent or even just one word, just kind of like throw that word in and see what happens.
Walk differently. Like, what would it feel like if, for me, I love when I stand on something tall. And I'm like, oh, this is what it feels like to smell this air up here. Like, you know, that's when you're, you know, vertically challenged, you're like, hey, wow, it feels very different up here. Get a little, you're a tall one, get down a little low. What's it feel like down there? Like, just, there's little things. Yeah, there's a lot of them. I like we should, like, team up on that. Like, create, like, 101 ways that you could just microdosing.
Microdosing improv.
I like it.
Worth it.
I'm in.
To record this.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do the faces.
You make the face, I make the sound.
Hold on. I'm gonna pull the camera over.
So you see my face. So, like, I'll make that face, and then I'll make that again while you make the sound, and you're out of the frame, and then we'll swap.
Okay.
All right. This is one of those things too. I go back to, like, almost the same face every time, a variation of that face, but it's like I want it to be so big because that's just, I don't know. Okay. All right. All right. All right, your turn. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. This was awesome.
It's been really great. Just sharing that love of improv.
That's
everybody.
right. That's
Subscribe. Do heart, share,
You don't
save.
lose anything. You don't lose anything.
It's free. It's free. In this economy, we need more
Support
free,
us.
fun, joy.
Please.